The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hello everyone. Today on Aging Horizons, we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's. We're going to talk about the basics. What is Alzheimer's? Is it the same as dementia? Just what is going on with that? And we're also going to talk about ways that you can really take care of your brain. Alzheimer's is a big issue. You want to have the best information you can and ways to cope, and we're going to tell you how to do that. So stay tuned.
Did you just text me?
I didn't want to disturb you if you were sleeping.
Sleeping? I'm sitting right next to you, silly.
There you are. Hey, I found a couple of Medicare helping programs online that I think we ought to look into.
It says if we qualify, we can get help paying for our prescription drugs. Oh, and there's a program that can help pay our Part B premium.
To learn more about extra help and Medicare savings programs, call your local SHIP counselor today.
Maybe I better text him.
I was outside working on some equipment, nothing too strenuous. I started sweating and feeling out of breath.
When he felt pressure in his chest and aching in his arms, I knew we had to call 911.
First responders were there before we knew it. 38 minutes later, the doctors had restored the blood flow to my heart.
Now we know dialing 911 saved his life.
Your life is on the line.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Sometimes the difference between having the life-saving medications you need and going without is the premium on your Medicare drug insurance. If you are a Montana resident enrolled in the Medicare prescription drug program, you may be eligible to receive help with your premiums, even if you own your home or other assets or think you may have too much income. Call or visit the Big Sky RX website today to find out if you qualify.
There you go, ma'am. See you next month.
Thank you.
Hello everyone and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Kimi Everman, and as I said at the top, we're going to be talking about Alzheimer's today, and brain health, and just your cognitive abilities, how to keep yourself as healthy as possible for as long as possible, and what to do if anything comes up. We have with us today Hannah Van Hoos. And Hannah, thank you so much for being with us. You're the Public Policy Director for the Alzheimer's Association.
That's right.
In Montana. And we love having your association on the show. You always bring so much good information and hope.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's really great to be able to talk to more Montanans about what we do and what they can do to keep their brains healthy.
Well, let's start out with, because I always have this question, I've had it explained to me so many times and I always forget. Alzheimer's and dementia, how are those linked? Are they the same? Are they different? What is the basics of that?
Sure. So Alzheimer's and dementia refer to a set of conditions that affect your memory, your thinking, and behaviors, and it's caused by changes in the brain. And so dementia is kind of the umbrella term that includes a few different types of dementia, and Alzheimer's being one of those types, the most prevalent type. Other less common but still occurring types like frontotemporal dementia, Lewy body dementia. So there are other kinds of dementia, but Alzheimer's being the one that most people are familiar with.
Right, because I've heard about Lewy body, and I know that there are varying degrees of what happens to you in those situations. So it's good to have an idea of what the basics really mean.
Yeah, and we're still trying to understand the difference between how those different types of dementia are caused and how any of them can be treated, but we do see a kind of a similar set of symptoms with them, and so that's why we often talk about them under that umbrella term of dementia.
I see. So what's it look like in Montana in terms of prevalence and that sort of thing?
So we actually have a number of Montanans that we know are impacted by Alzheimer's disease. The number right now is 21,000. And we have another 50,000 Montanans who are providing unpaid care to them. So that's family members, friends. So it's a really wide impact. And that 21,000 number are just the ones that we know of with the diagnoses. We estimate that as few as half of people with Alzheimer's actually have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
I was going to say, I bet those numbers are very conservative.
Yes, because it's a hard diagnosis to get sometimes, and because those changes, those symptoms can be very gradual, it's often hard to know that what you're seeing is Alzheimer's and not just, another kind of more typical changes from aging. And so it can be, there are a lot of people who might have Alzheimer's that we just don't know that they do.
Sure. And you're seeing a rise, correct?
Yes.
We have a number by 2025 of right around 27,000?
Yes, that's the estimated new diagnoses, and so we're seeing that upward trajectory every year. It's an increase. We're about to get new figures for 2020, what our incidence is, and we expect it to be more than that 21,000 number. So it's really a public health issue.
It is.
And one that we need to address as a public health issue.
But the good news we're going to get to right now is that you have a care and support line available.
Yes.
And I love that. So tell us about that.
So we have a care and support hotline that you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's our colleagues with the Alzheimer's Association. It's always free. And if you're a caregiver, if you're somebody with dementia, if you're somebody who thinks that, oh, I wonder if what I'm seeing in myself or in my family is dementia, if you've lost somebody to dementia, you can call that phone number, and there's really highly trained people there to help you, to kind of walk you through what you're seeing, any questions you have, and then connect you with resources, because we have a lot of resources and supports available for people with dementia and their caregivers.
And you said that's 24/7.
Yep.
And even if you just need to reach out to get some support.
Yes, even like caregiving can be very hard.
Absolutely.
It can be emotionally exhausting, and you just never know when something's going to come up. There's just a lot of stress involved with caring, especially for somebody with dementia. And so even if you just need somebody to talk to who understands what you're going through and just kind of give you a place where you feel some emotional support,
sure,
you can really call that number for anything that you need, whether you have a diagnosis or not.
Yeah, and that's why I like that so much, because it's just pure support for people that need that and need to reach out. So who's at risk, Hannah?
Anybody with a brain is at risk of Alzheimer's.
And I read that in your notes and I kind of giggled, but
yeah, and that's true, because we're still trying to learn what the causes are of Alzheimer's and dementia. But we do know that age is the biggest indicator for your risk. And we also have seen that women tend to have Alzheimer's more frequently than men. We don't know why, but we do know that it's more likely that you'll be somebody with Alzheimer's if you're a woman.
Yeah. And there's not a cure at this point.
No,
at this point,
right.
But there are some things you can do to keep yourself healthier.
Right. So we're starting to see through some research and looking through the evidence from some clinical trials and other things that the things that you can do to keep your body healthy are also a lot of the same things you can do to keep your brain healthy. So we may not have a cure for dementia yet, but we do have ways that we know that will reduce your risk of developing dementia. So not everybody who could get Alzheimer's will get Alzheimer's. And so there are simple changes and choices that you can make to make it more likely that you won't be impacted.
And that's a very hopeful statement. Not everybody that could get it will. And it might have to do with some of these physical changes that we might make, or changes to our lifestyle in some way that could really help.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of your viewers will be familiar with the fact that there are certain choices that you can make to reduce your risk of heart disease or stroke. And similar for Alzheimer's and dementia, there's similar things that you can do to make sure that you're doing everything you can to reduce that risk of cognitive decline and keep your brain healthy.
Exactly. Well, folks, we're going to talk more specifically about how you can love your brain when we get back. But I really want to just encourage everyone, don't be afraid. It is better to have knowledge. Knowledge is power. Once you know some things, you can more easily cope or understand what's going on with you. And that's the same with Alzheimer's. There may not be a cure right now, but we're working on it, and we have lots and lots of support available for you. So stay with us.
No one likes to have to ask for help. It's a courageous act.
Sarah Solomon, Energy Share Coordinator.
Our clients work hard, sometimes at 2 or even 3 jobs, but still struggle to keep the heat on. They're doing everything they can. They're proud and they don't give up. I feel inspired and honored to work together with these Montana families.
To donate, call 888-779-7589 or go to EnergyShareMT.com. Energy Share, you can help your neighbor stay warm.
If the Aging Network in Montana was a restaurant, the sign out front would say, over 50 million meals served over the last 30 years. Since adequate nutrition is critical to health and quality of life, nutrition services are an important factor in keeping older Montanans healthy, independent, and living in their community and home. To find out more about senior nutrition programs in your area, call 1-800-551-3191.
Here in Montana, we love our outdoor activities. Unfortunately, few of them are risk-free. Indeed, Montana is second in the nation per capita in head injuries that can destroy the lives of people we love. That's why you should insist your family always wear protective helmets. But you can do even more. When you fill out your vehicle registration this year, circle the Y and donate $1 to support traumatic brain injury prevention and education. Now that's using the old noggin.
With as many as 1 in 10 Americans at risk for Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia, chances are someone you know and love will receive that diagnosis. When that happens, you may well feel devastated, but know that you are not alone. Help is available. You don't have to face dementia by yourself. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're talking about Alzheimer's today with Hannah Van Hoos, the Public Policy Director for the Alzheimer's Association of Montana. So glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about ways to love your brain, because there are some ways that people can make some changes in their lives that might help them with maybe putting off Alzheimer's for a little bit longer, staying healthier if they get it.
Yeah, it's really about reducing that risk. So the factors that could all come together to increase your likelihood of Alzheimer's. So what you can do to try to avoid some of that. And so we call it 10 ways to love your brain. So there are 10 things that we know from a review of the evidence, and these really evidence-based signs that we're starting to see about ways that you can reduce that risk and keep your brain healthy.
Sure.
So the first one is called butt out. Quit smoking. It's never too late to quit smoking. We know that smoking impacts the health of your body and increases your risk for a lot of other chronic conditions. Same for brain health. That smoking really impacts that blood flow to your brain, and so if you can quit, the sooner you can quit, the better for your brain health.
And there's a lot of support out there for folks that want to quit smoking, and I know that the state of Montana has a quit line, and it's very possible that your physician might have something to help you. Another one of those things you don't have to do alone.
Right.
Quitting smoking is a hard job.
It is hard. It's really hard for anything like that to do it by yourself, but there are supports out there, and with any of these activities, if you have questions, you can always talk to your doctor and they'll be happy to help you engage in some of these healthy activities.
Great. So what's the next?
So it's called follow your heart. Okay. So the same things that increase or that deal with that increased risk of heart disease and stroke are the same things that we found that can reduce your risk of cognitive decline. So obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, those are all risk factors for heart disease and stroke. They're risk factors for cognitive decline as well. So working with your doctor to manage your weight, manage your blood pressure, and then if you have diabetes, making sure that you're managing that well can all go a long ways to keeping your brain healthy.
And that's just not for senior citizens. We want to start doing those things early in life so that we can take better care.
Right, and we say never too late and never too soon. Anybody should be thinking about these things regardless of age. And we think of Alzheimer's as being a condition that really impacts older people, and that does increase your risk, but we see onset of Alzheimer's younger than 60, and we even start seeing evidence of cognitive decline as young as 45 when we survey people. So it's something to be thinking about all throughout your life.
Right. And the next is heads up.
Yes, so brain injuries we know are associated with risk of cognitive decline. So make sure you wear your seatbelt in the car. And if you're somebody who enjoys biking, mountain biking, make sure you wear a helmet. So any activities, if you're younger and playing contact sports, like even for kids, wearing that helmet's really important.
Exactly. Number 4?
Yeah, healthy diet. So we call it fuel upright. So again, it's anything that's going to keep your body healthy is going to keep your brain healthy. So making sure you get a diet high in fruits and vegetables, those nutrients and vitamins that come there are good for brain health.
Super. Next one's catching these.
Yes, so sleep is so important for so many conditions, not just brain health, but mental health, physical health,
mood, everything.
Mood, yes. So if we see problems with sleep, we see problems everywhere else. So making sure that you're getting good amount of sleep, and if you're struggling getting sleep, talking to your doctor about that, making sure that you're regularly getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night, and good quality sleep is important for keeping your brain healthy.
Absolutely. And you already mentioned mental health care, but we could see depression linked to this.
Yes, so we've seen some links between mental health conditions and risk of cognitive decline. So depression, anxiety, high stress, those things are related. And so keeping that mental health focus, if you've got any concerns, if you think that you might be suffering from depression or any of those other conditions, it's important to seek treatment. And it can be hard to do, and it's hard to find access to mental health care, but it's something that the state has been working to try to increase that access and increase information. And then also, if you are worried about your mental health and the impacts that might have on your cognitive abilities, you can call that helpline and just say, I want to get help. Where do I go?
Right.
Who's around in my community? What resources are available online? And we can help you with that.
A perfect way to figure out those resources. Next would be buddy up and stay socially engaged.
Yes, so the social engagement is huge. That's a big one. That's a really, really big one. That the ways that our brains are just as humans, we're hardwired to need that connection with other people. And so we found that keeping that social engagement is really important to keeping brain health. So whatever you can do to stay involved in your communities or in your neighborhoods, try to share activities with your friends and family. Like if you like to walk for exercise, ask your friend or your neighbor to go with you. If you're going to the grocery store and you know that your kids are going to the grocery store that weekend too, maybe buddy up for that activity. And then also volunteering is a really good way, and there's lots of different ways and lots of great causes to do that, including with the Alzheimer's Association.
Absolutely, and I think that it's so important to not get isolated in these, because you start to have more anxiety, more depression, and just your life is not quality.
Yeah, and we're starting to see a lot of that connection with that loneliness and isolation having pretty significant impacts, like you said, through mental health and just all throughout the ways that we live our lives. And it can be especially hard in Montana, those small rural communities, or if you live even kind of a few miles outside of town, it can be hard to stay connected, but we've got lots of ideas for how to get you involved, and I'm sure there are lots of other folks in your community too. So call again that number.
We're going to put that number up. I'll just leave it up. Well, we have a couple of more things that we're going to talk about, but we're running out of time, so don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We want to tell you how to love your brain. We'll be right back.
When I stopped showing up, Jim showed up at my door. He took me to the hospital in town to get me help. That's the day Jim saved my life.
Everyone has a role to play in preventing suicide. Know the signs and don't be afraid to speak up. If someone you know is in crisis or emotional distress, the only wrong thing to say is nothing at all. Call 800-273-TALK or text MT to 741-741.
Questions about Medicare and other types of insurance? Contact the State Health Insurance Assistance Program office to get answers to questions like, what is the difference between Medicare and Medicaid? And how do you decide if you need Medicare supplemental insurance? This insurance counseling program is not a sales program. It is available to provide answers to your insurance questions. For more information, call the State Health Insurance Assistance Program office at 1-800-332-2272.
I have so many questions about power of attorney.
Well, some powers of attorney are for finances and others are for healthcare decisions.
A power of attorney designates an agent who would make decisions on your behalf.
While making a power of attorney, you have the ability to control your agent's power.
You also have the ability to decide when that POA would take effect.
Wait, am I giving away all my rights?
Power of attorney isn't a license to make any decision for you, just those that you've specified.
Your agent should be somebody that's working in your best interest, but it should also be somebody that you would trust.
What if they try to abuse their power?
Protective measures like third-party accounting, secondary signatures, defined spending and gifting limits can help protect against financial exploitation. An agent's powers can always be limited by a customized power of attorney, and they can be revoked by you or the court if the power of attorney is abused.
So carefully drafted estate planning documents can help ensure that your finances are monitored, but not abused.
If you or someone you know is being exploited, please report to Aging Services Bureau at 844-277-9300 or the Legal Service Developer at 1-800-332-2272. This message sponsored by the DPHHS Aging Service Bureau.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here talking about Alzheimer's today, and when we left we were talking about the 10 ways that we have identified to love your brain, and we have Hannah with us from the Alzheimer's Association of Montana. What's the next one we need to talk about? It looks like challenge yourself.
Yes, so
Stump yourself.
Yeah, stump yourself. So similar to that social engagement, keeping your mind challenged is really important. That really works all the aspects of your brain, keeps it moving. Just like you need to exercise a muscle to keep it working, you got to exercise your brain. So anything that is like games of strategy. So if you know your family likes to play board games, there are a lot of strategic board games that are popular right now, join in. That can be a really good way to keep your brain healthy. And learning any new skill, anytime you're taking in that new information, it's just making those new neural pathways in your brain, keeping it active. So you can do things like learn a new language. There are lots of ways to do that online, or you can reach out to your local branch of your public library to get some books to pick up a new language. Maybe there's an instrument you've always wanted to learn how to play. Try learning a new instrument. There are folks in your community who I'm sure would be happy to give you lessons. And crafts. Maybe if you like knitting but you haven't ever tried crochet, that can be a new thing to do, or taking up woodworking. Just anything that where you're learning something new. Using both your mind and your hands and being socially engaged, if you can do that at the same time. It's really, really important.
Break a sweat. That's easy.
Yeah, so we all have been told over and over that exercise is important, and it is. Not just for your body, but for your brain too. Again, keeping your heart rate up and getting that blood flow to your brain is just as good for your brain as it is for your heart. So find an activity that you like to do, and again, if you can buddy up while doing that, and just something that you'll want to do regularly. If it's a walk around your neighborhood in the afternoon, or if you like to hike.
It doesn't have to be racquetball, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be any big giant thing. Just move.
Yep, just move. Just anything that gets your heart up even a little bit is going to make a difference.
Super. And then finally, this goes without saying, but hit the books.
Yeah, so formal education just makes the brain work in a way that's unique and isn't something that we do in our day-to-day lives unless we're getting some kind of education. So there's lots of ways you can do that. There are lots of classes that are available online, or your local community college or two-year college might have some ideas for you. So just reading, staying engaged with education. Education doesn't just have to be something for when you're young. It can be a lifelong activity.
Right. And I know professionally, I'm always running into tons of webinars and different things that are online that are available to anyone who wants to sign on. If you have a particular interest, Google it and see if there's a webinar that you can watch.
Right, and again, reach out to your local public libraries. I know that our state libraries have a lot of online resources that they're making available, and they might have some ideas for you about places that how you can read, or maybe some educational courses too.
Super. Now let's talk a minute about your partnerships, and also you have a grant project that you've been working with for the last couple of years, I guess.
Yes, I think we're in the fifth year.
Fifth year, okay, so more than a couple.
Yeah, so it's Administration for Community Living grant, and so that's a federal investment to help states really improve their infrastructure around Alzheimer's and dementia, making sure that more services and support are available to everybody who need it. And it's particularly important in our kind of rural and far-flung states. So we're really grateful for that help. And we've been undertaking that work with our partners at DPHHS, so the Office on Aging. We're really grateful for their support. And then a couple of our other partners, area agencies on aging.
Awesome.
They've been great partners with the association and just really impressive resources, and they're all throughout the state. So if you ever have any questions about aging or how to deal with any of the challenges that come from that, you can reach out to those folks.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we have our Alzheimer's disease and related dementia state work group. So this is a really diverse group of people throughout the state, pretty big group that comes together regularly to meet and talk about what we can do and make sure that we're doing the work that we need to do to improve Alzheimer's and dementia care in the state. A few years ago, we published a state plan with recommendations that came from a wide canvas and survey of the needs throughout the state, saying these are the steps that we need to take to make Alzheimer's dementia care as good as it can be. And so the work group is involved in really implementing that and making it happen. So
and the folks on the work group, at least the ones that I know, are very diverse, come from lots of different areas of profession and family background, that they bring a lot to the table.
Yes, they certainly do. I mean, we have our healthcare providers, we have folks from DPHHS, we have the association, Geriatric Education Center, and that's just to name a few. I mean, there's so many others, and we're very thankful for their knowledge and expertise.
Yeah. So in wrapping up, let's go over a couple of things that we've already talked about. First of all, the serious part is that this is out there and you need to be aware.
Yes, and so it's always good to have the knowledge. I think it can be really overwhelming to think if I get this diagnosis, this means such a struggle, but it's better to know, because when you know, you can act, and we've got lots of resources to both help you know and to help you act.
Right, and there's also ways that, and again, this doesn't cure you or not give you Alzheimer's, but there's a lot of ways to keep yourself healthy in the interim that may help.
Yes, and so if you worry that, I want to make sure that I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that I can make cognitive decline as slow as it can be. You can check out our website, alz.org, and we've got that list of the 10 ways to live your brain that I mentioned, and you can print that out for yourself.
Yeah. Well, Hannah, this has been such a good show. I'm so glad you were able to come and talk with us today. This is a big, big, big deal, and we really want folks to know, get involved, be aware of what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you. The biggest thing with this is to know that you're not alone, and we're here to help. So thank you for letting us share this with everyone.
That gives me the chance to run that helpline number again across the screen, because it's so important. Folks, it doesn't have to be on your own. Reach out. Even if you think, I don't know for sure, talk to your doctor, talk to your family, call the helpline. Do what you can do to reach out and get some assistance, because we want to help you. For Aging Horizons, I'm Kimmy Everman, and thanks for being with us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.